Hello everyone, welcome to this channel. So today our topic of discussion is steel bridges, that is steel railway bridges. Let us get started. So bridge, what is a bridge? A bridge is a structure that is intended to carry railroad traffic, highway traffic, or both of these, which is over a crossing, which may be a water body or a canyon, gorge, or another line of traffic. So basically, when there is a gap or a discontinuity in the alignment of any road or any railway track. So this discontinuity, this gap may be because of obstruction of any stream or water body or any gorge or canyon. So in order to compensate for this gap, we have to construct bridges to ensure the continuity of the road or the railway track. Okay. For this reason, bridges are constructed. Now there are some basic factors which consider the design. These are the economics of the bridge, the functional planning, and the physical planning. Economics is concerned with factors like the expected life, cost of maintenance and repairs, and cost of the project. So while constructing this, we have to design for this expected life for what, how many years we want to design the structure. What is the cost of the project? What is the cost benefit ratio? What is the expected life? What is the cost of maintenance and repairs, and all these factors they has to be taken into account. Functional planning, the second factor, is involves consideration of the grade and the alignment. So alignment design is one of the major factors in bridge design. So what we do is here we design the vertical alignment and the horizontal alignment. How the layout of the bridge is proposed in uh, in reference to the water body, okay, or the crossing, whatever is the crossing, and what is the grade, what is the gradient that we provide at every interval, what is the gradient that we provide. So this is the vertical alignment, and layout is the horizontal alignment. So this we have to keep in mind. And then what is the number of tracks or the traffic lanes that is required in that bridge, and the approach facility and overall appearance. So this facilitates the functional planning. The third, another important part is the physical planning, which involves the consideration of the foundation material. What is the foundational material to be used while founding the piers of the bridges? The character of the stream, how the stream is moving, what is the cross currents, and the other, this, this velocity of the river, meandering, and every other thing, hydrological aspects of the stream, and the type of the bridge and number of spans. So these are some of the factors on which the physical planning will depend. So now this is a basic component of a truss girder bridge. So this bridge, see, this is a truss girder. Okay, so this is one truss, this is one truss. So basically you are having two trusses placed at say at a distance, that is the width of the bridge. So this truss is supported on these these beams which are parallel to the longitudinal direction of the bridge. Okay, these beams are called as stringer beams. And under the stringer beams, we'll have cross beams. Okay, so these cross beams and the stringer beams together constitute the floor system or the deck of the bridge. So this is one major component. Another major component is the superstructure of the bridge, which is the girder. The third major component will be the bearings. It is not shown in this figure. The bearings, how the entire load from the bridge to the cross girder to the stringer beams is finally transmitted to the piers. Okay, so this is done through the bearings. So three major components here it is shown. Another, some of the other components that you will see here is the bracing. See, this top chord members are braced. Okay, so this is called as the lateral wind bracing. This is done for wind. Sway bracing, for sway analysis we do this member is braced here, and again this end post, this end start or the starting start of this bridge, this is also braced. So this bracing are done in order to encounter the lateral forces. Okay, so now uh, based on various factors, the bridges are classified. So according to provided in order to provide support to pedestrian loads or vehicular traffic loads, bridges are classified as highway bridges. These are to carry highway traffic loads, railway bridges to carry railway traffic loads, combined railway and highway bridge, they carry both highway and railway bridges, railway loads. Footbridges, these are constructed to serve the purpose of providing means to pedestrians only. Aqueduct bridges, these are used to carry canals and pipelines. So based on various function, the bridges are classified as, first is the deck type bridge. Okay, so deck type bridge, these are of two types: deck type plate girder and deck type truss girder. So in this deck type bridge, the floor system is placed on the top flange, okay, or the floor system is placed on the top. Here, as you can, this is a deck type bridge, okay. So for this bridge, these are the top chords, okay, and this floor system is placed on the top chord. Above this floor system, there is nothing. So this is the deck type bridge. Exactly opposite and contrary to it is the through type bridge, where the floor system is on the bottom chord here, or the bottom flange. So if it is a I section bridge, then it will the floor system will be on the bottom flange. If it is a uh, uh, plate girder I section bridge, then it will be at the bottom, connected to the bottom flange, this floor system. Or else this floor system, if it is a truss girder bridge, then this floor system will be connected to the bottom chords of the truss. Okay. So these are the, so similarly in through type bridge, this type of floor is supported at the bottom of the main load carrying member. These are also another divided into subdivided into two categories. These are through type plate girder bridge and through type truss girder bridge. So this floor is supported on the bottom flanges and this floor is supported on the bottom chords. The basic difference lies in the placement of the floor system, whether it is connected at the top chord or it is connected to the bottom chord. Half through type bridge, so this is a combination of both, okay. So this the floor system will lie in between the top and the bottom chord of the main load carrying members, okay. In this type of bridge, the load carrying members project above the floor level and over bracing is not provided. So these are also double deck type bridge. Double deck means you are having two floor systems, like you, these are done for both combined rail and road bridge. One such bridge is that the Saraigat bridge in on the river Brahmaputra. So in this double deck type bridges, both the decks may be through type or one can be open deck type and other can be through type. So this is combination. Both can be of the same and can be combined also. So according to the makeup of the main load carrying elements, steel bridges are also classified as I-beam bridge. So I-beam means the rolled steel wide flange. I-beams are used as load carrying members in railway bridges. So this selection of this bridge also will depend on the span. So this railway bridge is up to 15 meter span. I-beams are used in highway bridges up to 25 meter span. I-beams are used. Plate girder bridges. So when the span is up to 30 meter, okay, and the depth is limited to 4 meter. In that cases, the plate girder bridges are used. Truss girder bridges are used from 30 meter to 250 meter. So for larger span, you use the truss girder bridges because they are economical. In that cases. Suspension bridges or cable bridges. So in this type of bridge, the load carrying member high tensile steel cable wires. One such bridge is the hanging bridge at Kota. So these are used for span of 250 meter of higher bridges, more than 200. Okay. So according to structural layout, and main load carrying members are again classified as simply supported. So depending on the support, structural layout and the support. Simply supported span bridges, the total width of the bridge is divided into a number of individual spans and each span of the load carrying member is supported at both ends. So this is simply supported. This is suitable when uneven settlement of foundation is taken. Continuous span bridges, in this type load carrying member of the bridge is continuous over two or more supports. This is suitable when uneven settlement of foundation does not occur, so even settlement occurs. The advantage is saving of the material running is as high as 10 to 20% material you can save for this continuous span bridges. Cantilever bridges, it is defined as a bridge in which one or more of the trusses are extended beyond the supports, forming the cantilever arms. So the famous Howrah bridge that we all know is a double cantilever bridge, okay, and a hinge is provided at the center. So this divides the entire bridge into two cantilevers. This has already been explained. Example of this through type and deck type bridges, arch bridges. There's the various kind of truss girders that we can opt for. The first one is the Pratt truss. So this is the most simple through type girders. Okay. So here just the shape and the configuration of the members is different here. As you can see here, you can find inclined members also and vertical members. Okay. The Parker type of span. Here you have the top members inclined at various angles. You don't have the top members all lying at the same position as in the Pratt. K-trice type means the the main load carrying members will be in the form of the letter K here. Howe type bridges is very much similar to Pratt bridges. So here it is like this. Only the orientation of the inclined members is different. Okay, one end bridges here the same like two type bridges or Pratt type bridges, except there is no vertical members. Fink bridges, these are having different inclination of all the members. So here you can see a collection of various arrangement of the uh, load carrying member, tension and compression members. Now, what are the loads that are coming up? Loads which should be taken into account the design of railway bridges are dead loads. It includes the weight of the rails, the sleeper, load system, and the supporting structure and dead weight of the structure. So this includes the all the live load. What is the live load? Live load are due to the train loading, like mainline axle load. So this is EUDL, equivalent uniformly distributed load, which is the moving load of the train. Okay. And, near and pedestrian traffic and uniformly distributed over footway. For footway, you have to take pedestrian traffic as a UDL. So impact load, this is another dynamic load. This is the dynamic effect of the moving load and is taken care of by increasing the live load by a certain factor called impact factor. For every bridges, you will have impact factor, say 10%, 15%, 20%. So based on their capabilities, the impact factor is taken, and as such the impact load is taken. Impact factor should depend on variables like type of the loading, speed of the moving load, type of the structure, and the material of the structure loaded. Centrifugal force, this is due to curvature of the track. When the track is in a curved plane, whenever any path, whether it is highway or a track, when there is a curve, then it experiences centrifugal force. So when the curve is situated in a railway bridge, the structure will be affected by centrifugal action of the moving vehicles, and this centrifugal force is given by, so you know this formula, W V square upon 127 R, where W is the equivalent distributed load in tons per meter, C is the centrifugal force, V is the maximum speed in kilometer per hour, R is the radius of curvature in meters. Wind load, then another load, one of the major loads that act on the bridges, the wind loads. These are the lateral loads which are caused due to the interference in flow of wind by the moving load of the structure. So when the moving load is moving on the structure or on the bridge, they will be acted upon also by some lateral wind forces. Wind might be acting, okay, on the bridge structure itself. So this intensity of the wind pressure depends on the wind velocity and the height of the structure. So raking forces, again some lateral forces are also applied when the train by the train while starting and stopping. So due to this small lateral movement while moving on a single track, these raking forces are also applied. Longitudinal forces, these are the loads that are caused due to tactic effect of the driving wheels of locomotive, the braking effect resulting from the application of brakes, and the resistance offered by bearings to the movement of the roller end. So this completes the load, types of load. The next lecture will discuss about the other various aspects of bridge design, how the design of bridge is done. Thank you.